How's everybody doing? I'm Mark Willard, and this is a special episode of the Inside Giant Moments podcast as we want to dive a little bit deeper in to inside this giant moment, which is absolutely very different. So, Inside Giant Moments presented by T-Mobile, and just honored and thrilled to have Giants coach Alyssa Nakken with us. Alyssa, truly, it's an historic time, obviously, for baseball, for the Giants, for you as well, and we're thrilled to have you. Thank you so much for doing this.
Good morning, Mark. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be on the show and chat with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first, are you having fun through all this? There's a lot going on. You having a good time?
I am, yeah. Every night, as I'm getting ready for bed, I kind of just think about everything that happened in that day. And I know that everybody has 24 hours in a day, but so much happens in just one day. And I have to just sit and reflect and realize, okay, what did I start off doing this morning? How did it end? What were the learnings? And at the end of it, yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun.
So, I mean, is that truly part of your day? Like you get to the end of the day and you just kind of sit back and look back and reflect on everything that just happened?
Yeah, it's a big part of just keeping my mental health pretty strong is just making sure I have even as little as just 5 minutes in the morning and at night where I'm not looking at a phone or a screen or talking to anyone, and I can just kind of sit and think about either, some of the stuff I want to accomplish today or some of the learnings from the day. And it's really helped me. It's a practice I've been doing for a couple of years now, and now it's coming in really strong. So it's helping me through all of this.
Yeah, almost like it was getting you ready for this specific moment. How would you put it into words? Like, how has your life changed since joining the staff?
I'm really trying to find the words. I'm writing a lot and really trying to find it. So to answer the question of how has your life changed, what I've realized is that quite honestly, my life, who I am, my values have not changed. I'm still me. I'm still, I still call my mom almost every single day. I FaceTime with my best friend's daughter as much as I can. But, turning on social media or the news, I see myself out there a little bit more. But I still don't know how to do hair or anything. Nothing really about me has changed. I think just more people know my name. I also just love not having to be stuck in an office every day, and I get to be on a field with some of the best athletes in the world. So in that sense, that's a little different. And I love that.
All good about the hair because you just put a hat on. So that's the beauty. You found a path here in a job that lets you put a hat on. That's
yeah.
Perfect.
Put a hat on, wear baseball pants. I'm living the dream.
How difficult is it to find normalcy through all this? I mean, and maybe this is a perception. I'm sure, as you've mentioned, you've got loved ones close. The Giants themselves, I'm sure, are used to having you around. So, they just treat you like Alyssa. But I would imagine that the rest of the world now is kind of a different place for you. So how do you kind of compare that inner circle world and then the rest of the world right now?
I think that being in shelter in place and the quarantine, from March through end of June really helped just keep me normal. I couldn't see anybody, nobody could come see me. I wasn't around big crowds. So I was just, walking around my neighborhood every single day, and it felt, it felt abnormal considering the situation that our world is in. But in terms of people recognized me, nobody knew who I was. I think one person stopped me on the street at one point, but so I felt normal. And my friend circle, even colleagues at the Giants that are really good friends, they don't treat me any different or anything, and I would never want anybody to. And so I wish I had like this really drastic, exciting answer of how, things are just so different, but they're really not. Again, digitally, sure. And I get a lot more text messages and phone calls than I ever have. But like the Giants, the staff, the players, they just treat me just as a normal person. We laugh a lot, we joke a lot. We say like, yeah, you're one of the guys, like that sort of thing. In spring training and in Scottsdale, it was a little overwhelming. Like that was the first time, you have just groups of people kind of running after you to get an autograph, or waiting outside of the complex at 5 a.m. because they realized that's how early you get there. And they would be there when I got there. And that was like the most crazy thing. And then I walked in and I told like the guys that. They were like, yeah, that happens, like, welcome. So I don't know. I think I have to like write all of this down, because every day it's like, oh yeah, maybe that isn't quite as normal as it seems. But I feel normal day in, day out. Again, like those that I'm closest with treat me just the same, and we talk about the same things that we always have. And it's like, oh yeah, I saw this article about you, or saw you on TV or something, and like, cool.
That's interesting. You keep talking about the writing. Like, what does that look like, and where's that going? Like, is this something that you want to look back on in a number of years? I mean, I don't know. Would you publish something at some point? Like, what's that? Where's that heading?
Yeah, I think I'm talking about it so much because I just did it, and so yeah. I'm like staring at the journal, So, but yeah, it's just like handwritten journal, and it's not well written at all. It's literally just a brain dump of thoughts, and I just allow myself to be completely imperfect in how I write things, and I just like share what's on my mind that, maybe I can't, it sounds weird to share out loud. And then sometimes I reflect back on it, and sometimes I don't. It's really cool. Like the day I was hired, I was cleaning up my room and I found an old journal from 2015. And I was just looking back at like the thoughts that I had back then. And it was just like eye-opening that, yes, I need to continue to do this. And I probably need to be even more thorough during this time, because I've had so many emotions, ups and downs, and like so many thoughts going through my head throughout this time, that I just want to document it for myself, maybe for like kids one day. I've always wanted to write a book, or a children's book. That's always been like a lifelong dream. So I think I'm just gathering the content for that right now.
That's amazing. You're 30 now. So what was 25-year-old Alyssa writing down? What did those thoughts look like?
It was a lot of, what am I doing with my life? I'm old. And like, right? It's silly. At 25, I was working at a gym in San Francisco, and also like part-time working with the Giants. But I was working at a gym. I was like folding towels and doing laundry and like spraying down equipment, which is ironic because fast forward now, and that's what we have to do at our gym. So I'm like, I got this. Right. I can like knock this out. And I know everywhere where to spray, And so, yeah, at 25, I just finished grad school, and I just kept saying like, I want to do something more, but at the same time, I want to be very simple. I don't need a lot of things in life. I want to be extremely simple, and I want to be able to see my family. I want to maintain this beautiful relationship that I have with my best friend and her child. And I love San Francisco. I want to be able to like be in the ocean as much as possible, like that. But then it was like, I also want to make like this impact on people, and I want them to realize they can really do whatever you want. In grad school, in our first like course that you took, you had to write down like, or it was like an essay on what you wanted to be when you grew up, basically, like what you wanted to get out of this program and the path you had to take. And so I got super anxious during that because I had no idea what I wanted to do. And like within the first week, I was off the path that I thought I was supposed to be on. And then I was just freaking out, like, I'm not going to be anything. I'm not going to do anything. Like, and this is like the thoughts in the journal.
Yeah.
And then like 30-year-old Alyssa is looking back like, good, I'm glad you had those thoughts. And I'm glad you like stayed true to who you were and like kept thinking like simply, but also like staying within yourself and figuring out that getting off the path is quite frankly the best thing you could do for your career.
Wow. Wow. So good. That's excellent. You mentioned getting a ton of calls and texts. I bet you've heard from some really interesting people. Who have you heard from?
Well, I'm not on social media too much, but people will like screenshot some stuff, like people have reached out. Billie Jean King, she did a nice little post back in January, and then again a couple days ago, and that just I can't really wrap my head around that. That is just so cool. Jenny Finch had shared some stuff, which is awesome. Like I grew up wanting to be Jenny Finch in softball, and it's more like I love hearing from my past coaches, my friends, like colleagues at the Giants, because you know it's fun to like read their texts and like reflect back on my relationship with that person, whatever it was, and it's like a good memory to have and say like, oh yeah, you know, like 5 years ago, like we were doing this together and now here we are. And so it's more like just the people that are around me that I just love to hear from. Quite honestly, I haven't personally heard from, you know, like Barack Obama or anything like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but we'll see. So, and the players, I mean, the players have been so supportive and congratulatory, and that has brought me to tears at one point, you know, just their love and support through this. And yeah, I think that's the biggest one. It's just the players' support and their outreach to me throughout this week in person more, but yeah, it's been awesome.
Yeah. You know, you've mentioned before that for you, this is about baseball and about your job and doing it well, like anyone else would. And it is that, but it's also more than that. I wonder, to what level do you welcome the historic nature of what's going on?
It is hard for me to just wrap my head around it all, you know, and it just shows like there are times where sometimes I feel, I feel like incredibly grateful, but also very, very humbled. And also like, there are so many women out there that have paved this path for me to get here and have been literally told, you can't be in baseball because you're a girl. Rachel Balkovec of the Yankees had to change her name on her resume to Ray so that she could get like a foot in the door to actually interview, because nobody was looking for girls. And this was, I think, like 6 years ago.
Wow.
And, you know, and she's been through the ringer with just a variety of situations and people telling her no, only because she's female. And it's like, that is what just makes me feel so like have this huge sense of responsibility to honor all of those women and the women that are currently going through massive struggles just to be equal to men. And so that is like, yeah, I have a job to do on the field, but there's also this very big job for humanity that I'm a part of, and I need to make sure that I'm continuing to move the needle forward.
You've been with the organization for 5 years now, but I wonder if you saw this as the path. Like, did you see this coming?
No.
No.
Oh, no, I did not. I started in baseball operations, and that was in 2014. So that was a pretty wild year in itself, just being a World Series year. So I'm like, great. Well, this year, like, really set the bar high. So, and I realized, like, I still wasn't exactly sure what I was wanting to do. You know, I grew up playing sports my whole life. I was like an athlete until I graduated college. And then you graduate college and you're like, okay, go figure out the rest of your life, which is a lot of years. And so I was just kind of dabbling and trying to figure out what worked for me. In my exit interview of my internship with the Giants in 2014, our then manager of amateur scouting asked me, well, if you could be anyone in this organization or have the title of anyone in this organization, whose would it be? And I'm in there with like HR, like I think either Bobby Evans or Sabian was in there too, and like a lot of big name guys. And I said, I don't know. I don't think I see what I want to do yet. Like I see pieces of jobs that I really, really like, but it's not like, oh, that's the person I want to be. That's the title I want to have. And that was just the honest truth. But I wanted to stay with the organization, and the Giants are so much more than just on-field production. I mean, they do so much in the community, so many different events, and you know, it's family. And I wanted to continue to be a part of that family and be a part of the Giants. The last like 4 or so years, I was working more on like the health and wellness side of the organization, and loved it. Health and wellness is a huge part of my personal life. And so to be able to blend that with a career was a really fun kind of project. And you know, at the start of 2019, when Bochy announced his retirement, that's when we all knew, okay, there are going to be some pretty significant changes come the off season. And right around that time, like I was also feeling the need and the urge to do something, like take a next step in my career. And I just was thinking, like, is there an opportunity for me to get back onto like the baseball operations side, you know? And because that the department was kind of shifting with personnel as well. And, you know, Farhan had just come in and really inspired by, you know, not only what he is like as a president of baseball ops, but also as a leader. And that was kind of what I was drawn to. However, I just didn't assume that there could be an opportunity. Like it was literally me thinking, okay, well, I've been out of baseball ops for the last 4 years. Like there's no shot that, or no way I have a shot at that. But I continued to talk with a lot of people, a lot of executives, a lot of colleagues within the organization, and just kind of earn their support of saying like, well, why couldn't you pursue something like that? And then I was thinking, oh, yeah, might as well. And then Cap was hired. And again, like going back to, you know, Farhan being an amazing leader, hearing like Cap speak and learning a little bit more about his coaching philosophy and who he is as a person, it was like, whoa, now that is the team that I want to be a part of. Like, I just want to support him in whatever he needs, whatever this new staff needs. And I just had that mentality going on in my head, and it would kind of come out in conversations I was having regularly. And then I was thinking, wait, I think there could be a position here. Like, it's kind of like the baseball ops, the coaching staff side, like they all just need this like glue person to help everything kind of stick together and then move forward and start the season. You know, so I was kind of writing out like proposed positions. It just, I didn't know that was a thing, but it is. If you Google it, it's totally a thing. And so I was like ready. And then Cap and I started to talk kind of around like Christmas time about a role on his staff. I didn't know that meant coaching staff. I didn't care. I just wanted to be a part of kind of like this new regime, if you will. And throughout like our interviews, I still didn't really understand the position, like the title, and I never cared about what the title was. It was more about, okay, here are my skills, here's the experience. let's go to work. And no, I didn't see this because I've never seen a female on a baseball field at the professional level. So for some silly reason, I didn't think it was possible.
So how would you then describe that specific role? Like let the fans know on the day to day, right? What this looks like.
Yeah, I think Cap has said it best. He's also mentioned this about a couple of our players, like being a Swiss Army knife. You can really do a lot of things and you're effective at a lot of things. So I kept saying like, oh, I don't really care about titles, but assistant coach is quite honestly the best title that describes what I do. I assist all of our coaches in whatever it is they need. However, I focus far more on outfield and base running and work the closest with Antoine Richardson, our first base coach, on a day-to-day basis. So day-to-day, well, now we're in season, so we just had a first game last night, so I'll be able to like talk about that as we get going. But you know, in spring round one and summer camp, it was working with outfielders every single day, drills, throwing programs, and then base running many times a week. And so it's you know, a lot of drills, but also a lot of just conversations and a lot of you know, we're trying to track so much and make it digestible for these guys so that they're ready to go out in the game. There's just so much information out there, and our analysts are amazing and work really closely with us. So we meet with them very regularly, and from there kind of consolidate the information that we get and turn it into very bite-sized nuggets that we can give to our guys right before they go out to the game, so that they just have this extra thing, whether it's an outfield or base running, that they can use in game. Because once the games come, like it's like, okay, it's showtime. Here we go.
Right. Take us through the experience of getting to actually inform some of the players that they had made the team earlier this week.
Oh yeah, that was so special. I didn't know I was going to get to do that. It came 5 seconds before the first guy walked in, and Cap said, okay, you're gonna tell him. And then I said, what do I say? He's like, well, tell him. He's like, just talk to him and then tell him that he made the team. You know, so in my head, I'm thinking, okay, 1, don't cry. 2, thank goodness I have a mask on, because like you won't see my lip quivering as I'm telling you, probably like next to you having a child, like a very big moment in your life. And it's special. Like even though we didn't have too much time in spring training round 1 and summer camp was only a month long, we spent 3 months like learning about these guys as humans during the quarantine time. And so we built this strong bond, and so it was really cool to just reflect back on, you know, where he started in Scottsdale and then everything that's happened since. And so, you know, get ready, you're going on a plane tomorrow. So that was cool. And then the second one, I mean, was really special. It's emotional for you know, these guys. They're doing something not a lot of people ever get to do, and it's what you dream about as a kid, is, you know, playing Major League Baseball. And it was an honor to be able to tell them, but it came very quick. It was more like, okay, you're telling him, and then, oh yeah, you're going to tell him too. So
cool. So cool. Love it. I'm glad you brought up the word quarantine, because now we have a little section called Behind the Mask, 3 specific questions to dealing with life and baseball in the middle of a pandemic. So the first one is, what is the strangest thing you've experienced through all this?
So I think like in San Francisco, out at, like, I live in the outer Sunset, and there's at Ocean Beach, there's this huge parking lot, and this isn't that strange. This answer sucks. But I was just gonna say, like,
yeah, we want to hear it though.
Having, like, they shut down the parking lot, so like there are no cars there. And as somebody that lives there and like loves to run and loves to surf and loves to go out there, it was just really kind of nice to go down there and have like nobody in the parking lot. But that's not very strange. That's a really bad bad answer.
Actually, no, I think we get that. Like, I can remember when this was all first going down, like one of the last nights I left the radio station, and you're walking through the busy streets of San Francisco for like a 10-minute walk, and I didn't see any cars.
Yeah, it's like kind of like a ghost town.
Yeah, I mean, it's very eerie when you see stuff like that.
Yeah, when I was driving home from Scottsdale, it was a Tuesday night at 6:30 p.m. I was like on 280 about to enter San Francisco, and I was the only car on the road. That was weird. So, yeah.
Totally. All right. Second question. Other than baseball, what activity got you through that time?
Being in the water, in the ocean, whether surfing or just like jumping in, kind of running and just playing in the water really was helpful and healing.
Yeah, yeah. And then last one, what part of the new protocol around baseball would you like to keep forever?
What would I like to keep? Oh man. Yeah. Well, just the concept of good hygiene is really, yeah. I really like it. Yeah, just for myself, but also for others. And so that's
something that as a woman, you probably, like, industries that have a lot of males probably should have that touch.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I really appreciate like the encouragement of washing the hands and the sanitizer, though I do believe there and I don't know, some may disagree, but I do think it's important that, we do build up, enough bacteria to kind of get into our immune system. So that kind of scares me, but just the overall concept of good hygiene is something I'd like to keep. But other than that, yeah, like I really miss the high fives and the hugs.
Yeah, right. We heard during that time so much from players about, whether it was backyard batting practice or whatever they were all doing to stay in shape. But what about the coaching staff? What were you all doing during that time?
We were on Zoom a lot. And yeah, we were working a lot, but all of us are pretty into fitness and working out. So we would sometimes just, I think a couple guys got into running and they would text me because they didn't like running and they knew that I kind of like running, and they'd text me like, okay, just ran 40 minutes, like your turn. So I think we all did a lot of home workouts with like dumbbells and small apartments. And there were times where you could kind of escape the home and go to an open field and play catch, hit a little or take ground balls. So we'd get out and like kind of sneak wherever. We all were spaced out. So I think a couple guys got to go play catch with their wives or throw into nets. Like I threw into a lot of walls and a lot of nets, and my boyfriend played baseball. So he's awesome to have around and play catch with on a regular basis.
Now that the games have started, I mean, you mentioned kind of, especially focusing in on base running in the outfield, but now that the season has started, take us through a typical day for you.
So I'll take you through yesterday since it was day one. I woke up really early and I think it was like, jitters, and also I didn't want to be late. But our bus wasn't leaving until like 12:45 p.m. So 5:30 was a little early. But we're in Pasadena and it's awesome. So I went running around the neighborhood and kind of caught the sunrise, and so that was a really good start to the day. And then you eat a lot here, so I really have to make sure I'm like mindful of what I eat, but there's just food available all the time. And then Antoine and I met with an analyst too, and just like kind of did some last minute game prep. And it was pretty intense because we were looking at each other like, okay, like this is the show, this is go time, this is not like a spring training game, like we can't make mistakes right now, that's the mentality we had. And so it was a little like stressful, quite honestly, just making sure we had everything, like we were prepared. I'm sure you know that the Dodgers kind of switched their lineup on us last minute. So that
Yes.
happened.
How did
And
how did that adjust what you were doing?
what's that?
How did that adjust what you were doing?
Well, we had to adjust our lineup
Yeah.
completely, from a left-handed starter to a right-handed starter. So, but we were prepared for that. You have to be prepared for anything and everything. So we were prepared. It was just a matter of kind of reworking some of these matchups. And then you get to the field, and for me, it takes me a while to figure out where I go to change. And so like I have to find the clubhouse guy, and like he's usually scrambling, and then I'm like, no rush, but at some point, can you please let me know where I can go and change before everybody in here starts to change? So I got to walk through like Dodger Stadium, and then I got lost and got locked out of all the doors because everything locked. But that's typical. That happened in spring training round one. But then, you get on the field and you start BP, and that's like, yes, like we're here, we're playing, and just a couple of last minute short meetings with small groups, and then it's go time. So now, like today, we'll meet in a couple hours and be ready to go for game 2.
I hear a lot of voices right now saying the Giants are all about trying new things and maybe doing things in a different way. And maybe that's perfect for a 60-game season, because everything in baseball is new and full of all kinds of differences. Do you buy that your specific staff is kind of built for this?
Yeah, I think we are, we're a staff that we have multiple strengths in so many areas. So, and we're constantly working together and like weaving in and out of lanes. You know how people will say like, stay in your lane?
Yeah.
We've like talked about that phrase in general. And we're like, no, like if I have something that can make your lane stronger, I'm going to hop in there and go. And like that's the mentality we've had from day one. And now entering this 60-game season, it's like, okay, we have all of these different minds from all different backgrounds and experiences, and just like this diversity of thought to help kind of bring answers to questions that some of us may not have been thinking about. And this is a sprint of a season, and I think everybody needs to think creatively, not just like in the game, but also logistically. Like our summer camp was amazing, and that like pays tribute to just how thoughtful Kai Correa is, and how he is able to kind of just drive the ship in understanding like what all of our needs are, and us communicating to him what we need. And we were able to pull off this really extraordinary camp that went really well. So yes, I think entering this season and having all of these kind of different thoughts and perspectives and ways to communicate with each other and challenge each other to try something else is putting us in a really good spot.
Let's look ahead for you a little bit, and I wonder where this is all going. And when you take a visual in the future of your career, what do you see?
Oh, that's hard. I love the role that I'm in, and you're always thinking, okay, I need to develop, I need to get stronger, I need to like grow in certain areas. And I really love the concept of game strategy, and I love being a part of the conversations with Cap and Kai and Ron Wotus, just on like the whole game itself. I don't see myself becoming like a specific hitting coach or a specific pitching coach. I love like working with the outfield and base running, and also just like the full concept of offense that includes the hitting and the base running. And Cap is an amazing leader, an amazing teacher, and somebody who's extremely transparent and open, and allows me to sit in on some pretty remarkable meetings where I learn a ton. And even like roster construction, that sort of thing. So I'm really gravitating towards kind of learning more about, management of a game, of a team, of an organization. So that seems pretty awesome. I've never been somebody that just like wants to wear one hat. That's it. That's what I am. And, I like having hands in different aspects of the game. So I think, next steps will lead me to being in kind of bigger positions in that sense. So, but we'll see.
Do you want to manage someday?
That sounds really awesome. So yeah, that would be cool. But it's hard to say. I mean, a year ago, I didn't know I was going to be sitting here. So who knows? But Cap's job is enticing.
I love that. I wonder with all this also, what is the message that you really want to convey to other females throughout all of sports who are trying to rise and trying to do new things?
Tap into your support system. Even though there's probably a lot of people that are unsupportive in whatever it is that you're doing, there are a handful of people that support you, and they're at all levels. It could be family, it could be friends, it could be loved ones. It also could be, just like former colleagues, former classmates, former coaches. And my support system is the reason why I'm here. They were people who I felt open and comfortable talking to about where I felt personally and professionally. And last year I was like ready to take a next step. And I felt like those people who I talked to were just so supportive, and not this kind of support where it's like, you can do anything you set your mind to, like work hard and do it. It was like, okay, no, if you want to get back into baseball ops, this is the next person you need to talk to after we talk. And then it's on you to put in the effort to write down the skills that you bring to this role. And so it's like the support system that's like, yeah, they're going to like have your back, but they're not just going to be padding it. They're going to be like pushing you into like holding you accountable and making sure you're pushing forward. Like the cheerleaders in your life are great to have, but it's the support system that is just really true and will give you like the real hard advice that is sometimes not easy to take, but you can reflect back and say, okay, yeah, that was a hard conversation to have, or like you pushed me to take this really uncomfortable step and it opened this door. So that's number one. Number two, I think it just goes back to this sense of like, we feel like we need to have this path, this trajectory, and go like step by step, like a ladder. And then when something doesn't happen, it like throws us off. And I think it's just, I said it earlier, like being thrown off course is sometimes the best thing for you. So I think you just need to continue to have an open mind, but be able to focus on what it is that is like important to you, whether like deep into the future or even just right now, and just stay true to that and like keep going, and then appreciate those times when you are taken off course, because that's probably when you're learning the most and you're growing the most.
Yeah, absolutely. Having been in the organization for 5 years and now a total regime change, you're a great person to ask, like, how are things different now versus the way they were, and how you see that continuing to evolve into the future of the team?
Ron Wotus would actually be the best person to have this, like, to answer. And so for me, just on the staff side, I didn't really know the coaching staff too well. As an intern, I was like putting together scouting reports, and I like gave Woe his scouting report. And it's funny because like we'll be in the office back in San Francisco, and there are some reports that like I had put together as an intern, and so that's interesting. But I think just we are, and this isn't to say that anybody else never did this, but, and again, I can't really speak to how the former staff was, but Our staff, I mean, we're always challenging each other and challenging our thought process, and we're never like complacent. We're never like, okay, yeah, we're in a good rhythm, let's keep going. It's like, okay, yeah, that worked, but we could get better here. So here you go. And I think with that, like, you have to have a lot of stamina, a lot of energy, and a lot of like thick skin to know, okay, even if I do something really awesome or come up with this amazing game plan, we are going to challenge it, and it's going to look different in the next week because we want to make it better. And that's kind of what our mindset is. And I think it's incredibly important, especially in a game of baseball when so much is changing, that you don't just want to fall back into, okay, this is how it's always been done, so this is the reason why we're going to do it. But no, it's like, well, why has this always been done? Why did it work now? Or why did it work then? What can we do to make it even stronger now? So I think that's what you'll see a lot from this team and this staff moving forward, is just seeing something, but then not really getting married to that, and knowing like, okay, there's going to be an adaptation to that to make it stronger.
You've talked a lot about your personal experience with health and wellness, both just as a human within the organization. We know that Gabe Kapler has a lot of focus in that area as well. So, how much more of a centerpiece is that now within the Giants organization?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, you have to take care of yourself first before you think you can be the best version of yourself for your family, your colleagues, your work, the team, so that's something that we all take with great pride. You'll see like our staff, we're in the gym at whatever hours of the day we can get in there because of like social distancing, and we can't be in there like when the players are working out. So every single night after camp, almost our entire staff would be in there working out, and like players would be leaving and looking at us like, dang, like they just spent 9 hours on a field straight, like in the sun, running around, like doing all this, and now they're like in the gym. And but it helps us all, one, stay calm through all of this, and two, it's just an important piece. So I think if you're trying to go through a season or spring training or whatever, like you have to have the stamina. I mentioned the food earlier. It's healthy food, but it's always there. So you have to be like, have some self-control, which I don't yet. And so that's why you just have to get in like workouts when you can. And Lerone, our director of performance and nutrition, is a huge asset to us, this team, the staff, and just being there for us to help us with more of like the nutritional needs. So yeah, it's a huge piece to this. It's a huge piece to anybody in whatever career they're doing.
I gave you the kind of long vision question. I want to get the short-term vision as well. Like you're now, and in this handful of months, you're on the coaching staff. You've coached first base. You've become a name associated with so many different things. In the immediate future, what's next?
We just really want to continue to perform at a high level. Like high performance is what we strive for every single day, like for the guys on the field, but also for me personally. And I think like results, like wins, losses, are the byproduct of that. So it's less about, okay, like I want to win the next 59 games, no, that's not realistic. But I want to assist our team and our staff in performing at our highest level for the next 59 games. And for me, like if it's personal, it's like, okay, I need to be better than I was yesterday. And yesterday, just getting ready for game one, I learned a ton, and I learned a lot about what like I'm missing and some blind spots in just terms of preparation. And it goes back to like challenging a process And so I just want to continue to adapt my process to, and especially the process that Antoine and I have in outfield and base running. And so that's like the immediate goal is okay, how can I be better than yesterday and be more effective? I'd like to maybe throw batting practice one day, but not in this season. I don't think. It's just it's such a sprint, and we have so many coaches that can throw so much better. But that's like a huge struggle that I have, quite honestly, and something that I work on almost every single day. So this off season will be like, okay, that's I want to be able to throw like 50 in a row, just straight and not miss once. So that's like a silly personal goal.
So 59 wins is not realistic. What do you think? 52? What do you think?
Somewhere like that. Yeah, we'll shoot for 52.
My goodness, we called it a special edition of Inside Giant Moments presented by T-Mobile, and it really, really was. Alyssa, my gosh, an honor to talk to you. Congratulations on everything. You're just fantastic. And thank you so much for taking this time.
Thank you, Mark. This was fun. Great to see you.